Hey, welcome back to Aesthetic Control. I'm Reed, and today we're talking about how to develop a personal style in photography. I found the secret. Come with me. Here it is. It's just a camera. Any camera. Doesn't have to be Leica. Just whatever camera. Just take pictures. So that's really it. It's just keep a camera with you and take pictures, and that's how you develop a personal style. It's that simple. But let's dive deeper into that and talk a little bit about the process of developing your style, what it means to have a camera with you all the time, all that jazz. So, photography is like any other skill, skill. And whether you have a Leica M6, a Leica M11, or a Nikon D80 that you stole from the coat room of a Brooklyn party in 2006, having a camera with you all the time is basically the first step in developing a personal style. And like exercise, it's repetitions. The more you do it, the better you get, the stronger you get, the more you build your skills, and the more you grow. So let's think about it in a few different aspects. So like, let's say you're into street photography. You're not going to be taking any street photos if you don't have your camera with you. And I know a lot of street photographers like set out to go shoot street. But like if you live in a city, your day-to-day anywhere, having a camera with you keeps you ready to take pictures. And like I said, the more pictures you take, the more you develop your style, the more you learn about how you see things, what you shoot, what you like to shoot, that develops over time. The more you have your camera with you in different lighting scenarios, the more you understand how light looks, how it works, how you want to treat light when you're out shooting. Whether if you have a camera with a meter, you know when to trust that meter, and you know when to maybe do do differently than what the meter is telling you to. If you have a backlit subject and you want to silhouette something, you'll know to, not trust what the meter is telling you, but stop down or bump up the shutter. But if you want something really like backlit and bright, you'll know that maybe the light meter is telling you the right thing. Maybe you want to bump up or, expose a little bit more to really get that glow in the shot. The main aspect of having a camera with you all the time, keeping it with you, is developing your eye. The more that you have access to your camera, to hold it up, to look through the viewfinder, the more you're going to be able to pre-visualize how things are going to look in the viewfinder, how things are going to look in the photo, how you might want to then manipulate a print. And having just offhand access to the viewfinder to look through it and to take in a scene in the mindset of a photograph, the more you'll grow and develop and learn how you see a scene, how you will treat a certain parameter of subjects in light. You'll know to get the shot that I want, I know I need to move over here or treat the light in a certain way or wait until a certain thing happens. And again, that's just repetition. It's having it with you and being ready to go when it's time to shoot. And then there's confidence. Building the confidence in your skills, in your ability to get the shot, in your ability to work a scene, to know where to stand, to know where to be, to know how to anticipate what's coming, what's just being ready to react to a scene in a way that where you're not thinking about F11 at 1/25th of a second. It's, you look through the viewfinder, you see what the light meter is telling you, you know how to get to a good exposure, and you know how to do all that without having to take too much time away from looking at the scene and taking your eye out of the viewfinder and getting mentally away from the photograph to the settings. That again, comes over time, comes with time, as you familiarize yourself with your camera, as you familiarize yourself with how you are interpreting what is happening in front of you and what you're photographing, and how the scene, experience, whatever, can be photographed, and what the kind of photograph you're going to be able to take from that scene, how it's going to make you feel, and if you're going to be happy with it. And then another great reason to keep that thing on you, to always have a camera, even when you're going about your sort of mundane daily life, is you never know when you're going to tap into a subject matter or an idea or a thought process that's going to build up sort of a base for a larger project. You know, there's a lot of one-off photos in every photographer's sort of body of corpus, like their whole archive of work. And a lot of those photos never see the light of day, but the ones that do click and connect with your thought process, and those are what teach you how to see and what to look for going forward when you sort of see a theme in your work that maybe you weren't thinking about, maybe you weren't aware of, and it starts to build up over time, the sort of strings to pull on and ideas to chase down. So to show some examples of that, a few years ago when we first adopted our dog Cashew, he was like a 6-month-old border collie mixed puppy, crazy dog. He needed lots of exercise every day. So I would come home from work, you know, throw his gear on him, throw my camera over my shoulder, and walk him down to the local dog park that we live near. And, you know, I just had my camera on me just to take pictures. And eventually it got to the point where I was photographing my dog at the dog park, running around, playing, and then he would play with other dogs, and then they'd be running, and I'd try to get a photo of them running, and then I'd develop that film, whatever, a few days later, look at it, and like, oh, maybe there's something here with the sense of energy and motion and like chaos of the dogs playing and running and like play fighting and going crazy, jumping around. So I started to basically, you know, work that scene, bring my camera with me every time I went to the dog park. I started to bring a flash to try to freeze some of the motion of them running. Later into the year, when it got darker earlier, the flash would really help sort of spotlight the dogs. And it just built up over this, you know, a year or so of taking the dog to the dog park. I have this, you know, hundreds of photos of these dogs running and fighting and jumping and playing and going crazy. I haven't really done anything with the full project yet, but they're individual photos that have stuck with me since 2019, whenever that was. You know, I've sold a bunch of one print. Eventually I want to make something out of that work, but I wouldn't have gotten any of these if I hadn't just like, oh, let me bring my camera to the dog park, which might seem like one of the more mundane or boring places to photograph, but turned out to be pretty fun. And then another project that actually did follow through with printing is my zine. It's called Poacher. It's a risograph zine. It's all handmade, original sort of collage style photographs and sort of weird radio ephemera. And all of these photos are made from just having the camera with me as I traveled around, you know, doing, who knows, some trips out to Texas, trip to Louisiana, or walking my dog down to the dog park. And just the process of having my camera with me all the time, build up a body of work, look back at the work, learn what I like, learn what I want to pursue. And then for this one, you know, finding a theme, digging through my archive and fitting photographs that I had into this narrative I had come up with to fit within the book. So another example of you don't know what you're going to get, but as long as you get something, you're going to have something to go back to and make more work from and learn from. So this is all well and good. You have your camera with you. You have it when you're like walking the dog, you're going to the grocery store, you're going to the post office, and you're building up these collections of images. You're looking at them, you're understanding what you are making what you want to make, how to interpret your own work. But sort of deeper into that is, again, with the idea of exercise or practice, sometimes you need to take a break. And it's okay if, you go to Target, the grocery store, and the dog park all in a day and you have your camera, but you haven't taken a single photo. That's fine. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes there's just nothing out there that catches your eye that day, and that's totally fine. And in conjunction with that, there's the idea of you like exercise. You're not putting on muscle while you're at the gym doing reps. You're putting on muscle when you're resting and recovering. And like that in photography, one of the best ways to sort of build that mental muscle and develop that eye of what you want in your personal style is looking at your work, printing out your work, looking at it, reflecting on it, giving the things that you've shot time to exit out of your system and time to become their own thing. Everybody has a photograph that they've taken day of and they can't wait to get it home, and they print it and they love it, and then it's sort of just like, okay, I guess I'm done. And maybe the connection stays over time, or maybe it doesn't. But I think what a good way to operate in is, and this is easier to do with film, I suppose, is you give those images time to rest, give yourself some distance from them, and then when you do need to take a break or you're not producing stuff that you're happy with, you just say, okay, I'll keep my camera on me every day, but I need to slow down and reflect and take a look at the kind of stuff I've been making over the past X amount of time, and just to see if there's anything in there. Is there anything that I shot that I wasn't thinking about at the time that I now can look back at and see that, oh, there is something here and there is a thread worth following. So thanks for joining me in this adventure to find the secret to developing a personal style in photography, which, as we've covered, is just taking more and more pictures. The more you do it, the more you get out there and photograph, the more you have your camera on you, the more you keep it with you, and the more work that you make, the more that you will come to understand why it is that you're making the work, what the work that you like is. And that combination of knowing how to make work that you like for yourself and knowing what you like to go shoot and are interested in, that's how you develop a personal style, and you take the time off to reflect and see what you like and what you don't, and learn why you are photographing the way that you are. So that's really it. So parting word for today is keep that thing on you. Whether you're going to, traveling abroad to a foreign land, or you're just going to Target to pick up some dog food, keep your camera with you because you never know what you're going to run into.